At last he made his way through the mob, which was continually increasing and getting more and more turbulent, and reached the hotel. On his first inquiry he was told, with the impertinence peculiar to hired hackneyed coachmen and innkeepers, with their houses full, that there was no room for him at the Hôtel de Londres. Then he sent his card to Signor Pastrini, and asked for Albert de Morcerf. This plan succeeded, and Signor Pastrini himself ran to him, excusing himself for having made his excellency wait, scolding the waiters, taking the candlestick from the porter, who was ready to pounce on the traveler and was about to lead him to Albert, when Morcerf himself appeared. The apartment consisted of 2 small rooms and a parlor. The 2 rooms looked onto the street, a fact which Signor Pastrini commented upon as an inappreciable advantage. The rest of the floor was hired by a very rich gentleman, who was supposed to be a Sicilian or Maltese, but the host was unable to decide which of the 2 nations the traveler belonged. "Very good, Signor Pastrini," said Franz, "but we must have some supper instantly, and a carriage for tomorrow and the following days." "As to supper," replied the landlord, "you shall be served immediately, but as for the carriage—" "What as to the carriage?" exclaimed Albert. Come, Signor Pastrini, no joking, we must have a carriage." "Sir," replied the host, "we will do all in our power to procure you one. This is all I can say." "And when shall we know?" inquired Franz. "Tomorrow morning," answered the innkeeper. Oh, no. Is Franz one of these, I gotta speak to your manager types? Albert maybe seems a little bit more that way, but I guess there's no real evidence of that. If you go to a hotel and you've asked for dinner and a carriage, or, that's a general expectation. I don't know. I'm not wealthy. I've never commissioned a carriage before. Is that a fair thing to expect a landlord, a hotel owner to be able to provide you? I don't know. I don't know, folks. I'm not rich. I will tell you, I broke out in a deep sweat while reading this one because I had forgotten whether or not I had initially pronounced it Albert or Albert. I know that we talked about that way back when Dante learned about Mercedes having a kid named Albert or Albert. But when we were introduced to Franz and Albert, I don't remember if I called him Albert or not. I hope I didn't. My instinct is that I wouldn't have done that. But now I have to live with the potential inconsistency that I called him Albert initially, and I'm calling him Albert now. Folks, this is what you sign up for. It's a messy show. I'm not claiming to be an expert voice actor, despite some of my delusions that come out while reading some of these characters. I'm not claiming to have read this before. Like, I don't have a list of character names, their pronunciations, their purpose in the story. I'm reading it cold. I'm learning everyone as they come up in the story. Why am I getting so defensive? I don't know. I'm so sorry, folks. We are at the end of chapter 32, and I'm surprised it has unraveled me as much as it has. But why are these 2 going to be denied their carriage? The rest of the floor was hired by a very rich gentleman who was supposed to be a Sicilian or Maltese. Could he be why? I mean, if they just have one little apartment on this entire floor, maybe this other richer gentleman than Albert and Franz is taking up all the resources. But let's not lose sight of where this chapter started. In such a short chapter, in a short amount of time, Dumas has essentially transitioned us from the dreamlike aftermath of a hashish trip into the bureaucracy of arguing with a hotel manager about your lodgings. So that's accomplishing a lot. And I imagine, I talk a lot about juxtapositions here and how that helps create a sort of dynamic momentum to things. It's got to be intentional on Dumas' part to go from the dreamlike mystery of Dante's cave to the humdrum life of continental breakfast at a hotel. We'll see if this plays into it, but I also like that Franz didn't just come back to Rome at a time in which nothing's happening, even though it's like just background information here. In that cinematic version we're making of Monte Cristo, to hear the bustling of the townsfolk outside this window of the apartment that they have, creates a sort of energy. And I like it's not something I've really explored, and maybe this is the sort of thing that makes good writers, where the information you give a reader in which order kind of helps to guide their imagination. So the fact that Dumas has given us the idea, okay, what's the broadest thing? Rome. He's back in Rome. Okay, what is Rome like right now? Well, Rome is bustling with people right before some sort of big event is about to happen. So we've got Rome, we've got a bustling Rome, and then we go into the hotel, and he meets Albert. They see their apartment, and they find that they're denied the promise. I mean, maybe they'll get one, but the hotel manager can't promise that they can have a carriage the next day or for the next couple days to explore Rome, I would assume. So it would be different if it was just like Franz went back to Rome and went to the hotel and found his buddy Albert. Like, there's no texture to that. I mean, no one would write that simple of a story, but you know what I mean? Like, the fact that he layers in the travel back to Rome, and that Rome is a place with movement and energy right now, that alone sets the atmosphere for you to then play out your scene, and it gives it a little bit more life, or at least it does for me. And I think I'm going to try to pay attention to other things that I'm reading to see how other authors do that. We talked a lot last chapter about the difference between Auguste Mackay's contributions here and Dumas' contributions. That's the sort of detail that I feel like might be very Dumas-ian. Is that how we say that? Dumas-esque. That seems like Dumas' contribution to the story, that sort of style and detail and atmosphere. Okay, we are in the penultimate episode. We only have one more episode of chapter 32. I told you this was a quick one, so you know I got to bring up the Patreon. Folks, this year has been insane as far as new listeners to the show. When I checked in at the turn of the year, I told you we had one of our best months in December, and that right at the turn of the year, a whole bunch of new listeners came in. January has blown our numbers out of the water. I'm suspicious about it, actually. I'm like, is there just like some bot that is playing every single episode every single day? The fact that we have almost doubled our numbers from December in January is crazy to me. So if you are new to the show, I just want to tell you, thank you for being here, and that the show is made possible by people like you, listeners like you. We have a 4-year mission statement for this show, and there's a lot of overhead that goes into that. So you can contribute to the show for as little as $1 a month. That's 3 cents per episode. And if you also listen to my other podcast, Odyssey, where we're reading a page of the Odyssey every day, that's like a cent and a half per episode. And you can do that over at patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Your contributions go to keeping the show on the air, all of the shows on the air, growing the network. You can choose to support just this show. You can support the entire network. Whatever you want, you get bonus episodes out of it. So as of tomorrow, I release story-only audio of each chapter. So you'll get chapter 32, as well as chapters 1 through 31. I do periodic bonus content. As I mentioned last chapter, I'm committing to doing one of the tales from the Arabian Nights for an upcoming support month we have for the network. Do all of this over at patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Help support the show, keep it going for 4 years, and help me start other shows like Odyssey. But if you can't, totally get that. You can also support the show by leaving a rating, review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Subscribe to multiple places if you can. Tell other people about the show. Send them the main feed of the podcast. Send them a specific episode. If you want to give them a sample, tell them that they might like it. I mean, maybe be discerning about who you are recommending it to. if you know someone that likes classic literature, that has always wanted to read Monte Cristo, that loves podcasts and is looking for some sort of recommendation, feel free, send them the show, because that actually gets people to listen a lot more than trying to find them through search aggregates. The algorithm is a fickle thing. So you can cut directly through all of that algorithmic nonsense and recommend someone directly to the show, and then it's my job to keep them here. And lastly, as I've mentioned once already in this chapter, sign off on the Discord. It's absolutely free to anybody. You do not have to be a Patreon subscriber. You do not have to be part of anything. Just sign up for a Discord. I've got a channel in there dedicated to the Count of Monte Cristo to talk about this chapter, to talk about the story, to talk about this podcast. I definitely want to hear from you. The show just isn't as fun without hearing from all you. So do all of that in the show notes. Gives you links to everything you need to know to do what you need to do. So, tomorrow, join me here as we conclude Chapter 32. Until then, okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.